It is mid-June and summer is officially upon us. So let's go ahead and take a look at the south garden first because a lot has changed. And in this section of the container garden, it's pretty much status quo. So let's go look at what's new over here. This is the first thing I wanted to show you guys, and this is my in-ground dwarf tomato bed. So I have 7 dwarf tomatoes. I think there's 4 different varieties if I recall correctly. In between it, I have some fern leaf dill. This is a type of dill that focuses more on producing the leaves rather than the flower heads. So it's great if you actually like using the dill leaves themselves. But all these are starting to bear fruit, so I'm very excited to see what they taste like. You could tell it's already a lot easier to support. The only thing I'm using here is a bamboo stake on each plant. Now, as we walk down, I have my next in-ground bed, which is where my beans are. But this row of beans is looking a lot better, and I went ahead and reseeded a new row. Whenever I reseed beans, I like to get the soil nice and wet because they need that wetness to germinate, and that's why I also put the straw on top. So the beans have no problem pushing through straw. Now over here is one of my new trellis builds. This is a very easy trellis to construct in your garden. All it is 2 tree stakes on each side, which are about $4 each, and a 2x2 on top. So altogether, the structure itself costs maybe anywhere between 10 and 20 bucks, which is really pretty cheap for a trellis. And as you can see, I have a trellis net strung on it where my cucumbers are climbing. So I can come over here. This is a tasty green cucumber, and it's already producing quite a bit. So this is the 2nd or 3rd cucumber that I've harvested off this plant, and I'm really happy with how this is working. They're getting a ton of light in this setup, and they're already starting to pump out a lot of cucumbers, which is fantastic for me. At the base here, I have actually a bunch of arugula, and all these arugula plants are on a dripper each. That way they make sure that they can get enough water to grow in nice and full. This will provide a little bit of shade and help my arugula produce longer into the season. So that's why that setup is like this. Now on this side, before I move over to the corn, I actually have a couple squash plants, including 2 climbing squash. Those are the Boulam squash that'll climb up the fence. My kale that's now going into 2 years, which I'm very excited about. And in the back, I have a couple more kale plants, and behind that is my grape arbor. So now, this is the first year that I'm going to be getting actual grapes off my grape plant. And I think across this whole single plant, there's maybe a dozen bunches of grapes. So I need to do a little bit more research on how to prune and train a vine to produce the best fruit possible. But already what we've started to do is trim off any of the buds that are going past the trellis. And that should help the plant focus on ripening these. But man, I'm excited. I've never grown grapes, and I really love grapes. Let's go head over to the corn patch and take a look at what that's like right now. This is my super sweet corn patch. This is a variety called American Dream from Johnny's. I wanted a super sweet corn, classic quintessential style, and it's looking really good. All of it is pretty consistent in height. It's actually just now starting to produce its tassels, which is where the pollen comes from. So in a few weeks here, I'm going to start pollinating this corn. I'm very excited for that. Behind it, on this actual trellis net, it's a little hard to see, but here's one of them. There's a bunch of runner beans all along the base of this trellis. So the idea is that they'll climb up and over, and we should get a lot of beans. These are the scarlet runner beans. And the nice thing about leaning your trellis like this is it makes it really easy to pick the beans because they'll hang right off the back. Now on my left side here is my asparagus patch. So I just did a video recently about expanding my asparagus patch and pulling out actually a female plant. So what I could say is that all the starts that I put in are doing quite well. None of them have died. They look like they're putting out new leaves. So I'm quite pleased with how this is going. This patch is still pumping out asparagus too, which is actually pretty surprising, but there's like a nice perfect spear. I am very happy with the asparagus patch. If you guys haven't tried asparagus before, definitely consider growing it. This isn't that big of a space. I think people think you need a lot of space. Coming around this corner here, we're going to be crossing over this big tomato bed. And alongside the tomato bed itself is actually my eggplant bed. So this is my overwintered eggplant, and we have pulled maybe 20 or so fruit off of these plants right here. These are the older, more established plants. These new ones are just starting to set flowers. So that's kind of the look at what time difference you get when you actually overwinter versus start new plants. And overall, this is probably not the best place for them because it's not the warmest or sunniest. An eggplant likes to be very warm and sunny, but we're getting a ton of harvest off it. So I don't know what to say. They're looking quite happy to me. So I guess they don't need quite as much heat and sun as I thought they did. The green stalk back here I'll quickly mention. On top I have some edamame, And so what I did is they were starting to flop over from the wind. So I just shoved a short bamboo stake in each cell and just tied a string all the way around it. So now I have a sort of trellis. You could do this same sort of setup for any plant that you're growing in your green stock, whether it's something like a pepper or an eggplant. It's really easy to add these bamboo stakes and just kind of string it up to support it. On my left over here is my first tomato bed. So these are the earliest tomatoes I put in ground. I have two different setups. This is my net trellis, and behind that is my single string trellis as well. And as you could see, I don't know what happened this year, but my pollination is perfect. I have full trusses of tomatoes, both on my cherries and on my beefsteak tomatoes. And I've already, off of each one of these plants, I've picked at least, I don't know, 6 tomatoes off each single plant. And from the cherries, I don't know, maybe 20 plus cherries on each plant. So I'm very pleased with that. Everything's looking pretty healthy. As we round this corner here, there's a couple more little things to mention. I have my new celery plants in. They're looking quite good. They filled in very nicely. And the key here is to just keep it well watered through the summer to avoid it from bolting. And coming down, I have my absolutely wonderful kale, which you guys are gonna see in an upcoming video. I like to have a couple different types of kale in the garden, and this curly kale is by far the best looking right now. I mean, if you look at this plant, this is the best kale I've ever grown, and I can't stop looking at it. It looks absolutely wonderful. I have a strip of carrots here. You can grow carrots in the summer. They just won't be as sweet, but it's nice to have some carrots instead of buying them from the store. These will still taste better. My single string trellis of tomatoes here are all doing quite well. And this is right here is the Lucky Tiger variety. And if you haven't tried it, I would recommend it actually. They make these perfect salad tomatoes that have a wonderful creamy texture, not too watery, but great delicious flavor. And yeah, I got a sunflower right here and my Biatola green chard here, which I mentioned in a previous video. If you guys haven't tried a green chard variety, I highly recommend it. It seems to have less of an irony taste to it, but that's this side of the garden. There's a whole lot to show you on the north side, so let's go ahead and take a look at that right now. So I'm coming through over here from my winter rye patch, which actually, I think I need to harvest this week. A lot of it's already drying down, so I might make a little rye loaf bread later this week. But as I walk down here, I actually harvested out these 2 beds, which had garlic in it. And this whole no-dig bed from here all the way down has been fully planted out. So this has actually never been dug in any capacity. It's only been layered with cardboard, straw, compost, straw. So it's a total lasagna bed. And what I have growing in it right now are 12 okra plants. Starting from here, I have okra running all the way down and then kind of turning the corner, and there's another 2 plants. And then all along this flank are different melons. So I have a few different watermelons, a few different cantaloupes. The idea is that as this okra gets nice and tall, the cantaloupe and the melons are gonna have plenty of space to run all over this patch and get sort of crazy. So I'm really excited to see how this develops. But I wanted to do a quick mention on this bed right here, which is featured in the previous video about perennial herb care. So these are the 2 thyme plants, or actually, sorry, 2 or 5 thyme plants, I can't remember, that I trimmed back in that video, and they've fully grown back. They're looking absolutely wonderful. They have this bright, vibrant green, so that's all new growth. So as I'm walking down, this thing is just absolutely bonkers. If I tried to count all the passion fruit on there, I'd probably stop at 100, because I'm telling you right now, it's going to be the year of passion fruit, because this thing is absolutely loaded, absolutely covered. Over here is actually my true pride and joy this year. It's my ultimate success in growing peppers, but I need to remove some of these covers so I could really show you guys just how good these peppers look, and I'll talk a little bit about why I covered them. So I have 2 different setups here. This one is more simple, more basic. It's just a couple poles in the corner, poles in the middle, and then Ag 19 fabric all the way around. What that does is it creates a little microclimate within those walls to slow wind erosion, heat loss from the wind, and also at night it just keeps them a little bit warmer, a little bit more humid, and that's what they really like. So you can see all the peppers have responded quite well. They're very tall, very large leaves, and they're already setting fruit. In between this bed, I actually put a couple sunflowers, which I'm really happy about. I think these might be Autumn Beauty, but not entirely sure. In the middle here, I have my overwintered Chilano pepper, which is totally loaded in fruit. I'm extremely ecstatic about that. They're a nice tropical, spicy pepper, but they definitely have the heat. And so basically, this experiment was to see which way worked better. I think overall, for sure, the method where you cover the top works best. So you could see as I round this corner here and look into this pepper bed, I mean, these peppers, like, I don't know, I think I could win the golden medal award or something at the fair, because these leaves are basically greenhouse leaves. I've never seen pepper leaves look like this when I grow them straight outdoors. I've only seen them on plants that come from a greenhouse. So I essentially built a greenhouse and it paid off big time. I have all sorts of fruit development. I have peppers the size of my hand already. This guy has 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 peppers on it. I've already harvested 20, 30 shishitos just from these 6 plants alone up front. And it's only the middle of June. So it's going to be an absolutely wonderful pepper year, the best I've ever personally had, and the one that I've always wanted. So I'm extremely ecstatic about this. If you guys are in a cool coastal climate and you have that May gray or June gloom, etc., definitely look into covering your plants like this. This is going to be something I do every year, but now as I get into summer, I probably want to ease off this cover because it's just going to get too hot. Now as I cross over, my second pride and joy are my tomatoes. And actually next to my tomatoes are my tomatillos. And this whole setup of the garden is on the Florida weave system. So the tomatillos as well as my tomatoes are Florida woven. And what I have here are 3 separate tomatillo plants, and underneath I have 2 small oyas. So I'm passively irrigating these plants right here. As I come back here, all the tomatoes are on drip. They've been in the ground now, maybe 2 months-ish by now, and they're already starting to set fruit, especially the cherry tomatoes. And at this point, they're coming up to about 3 feet tall. So I'm very happy with this. You could see that they look quite bushy. Whenever I do the Florida weave, I ease back on the pruning big time because it's just so easy to support all that extra leaves, all the extra suckers by just putting a new string on. But that's all there is to it. I tie them up about once a week, do a little bit of pruning on the bottom for airflow. And man, I'll tell you what, in a month, in this next tour, you're going to see a lot of ripe tomatoes in this section of the garden. So let's go ahead and take one last look at the container garden here before I show you a little reward at the end. Next to my tomato patch is my second corn patch. This is my white corn. So it's been in the ground about 3 weeks after the other patch, so they shouldn't cross-pollinate, and there's a good distance, but this is also looking quite good as well. It's a little bit shorter, it's not an irrigation, so watering's a little more sketchy there. But as I walk down this way, my fabric bed is really filling in. This is basically entirely squash. Up in the front, I actually have 2 of the patty pan squash varieties. So this is Lemon Sun in particular, and it's a very productive plant, and they make quite nice little squashes. In the middle here, I have my Lebanese squash, which is one of my personal favorites. And then I have 2 center cuts and a bouillon squash or egg squash or avocado squash because it looks like an avocado when it's ready. As I come through here, this is like my primary grow bag garden area. And some of these tomatoes, I just didn't support in time. So for example, this one here started to break, but it's still looking quite good. My early girl over here has been pumping out tomatoes. You can see it's totally loaded. And for comparison, I actually have these 2 plants are shishitos that went in at the exact same time as the ones that you saw over there. So you can see they're a lot shorter. They're producing a lot less in the same time period. And the reason why this one's so big is because this was actually an overwintered one. So this is a Mad Hatter from last year. That's why it's so full and loaded. Up front, I have 3 peanut plants. I decided to keep it low on the peanuts this year because last year I devoted too much space and they just didn't set in time. As I come around here, I have my Cherokee X Carbon, a fantastic variety, one that I will definitely grow next year. It's like the Cherokee Purple, but it seems to crack less and the flavor might be a little bit better in my opinion. As I come around, I have my dwarf tomatoes in containers. These are the same age as the ones in ground. So you can see this one is a little bit larger than the ones in ground, but they both look incredible. And again, they only need a single stake to support them. Rounding out the last of the containers, I have some beans on a trellis here. These are the Greek giant beans, so I'm excited for those. And then I have 3 grow bags of sunchokes. And if you're wondering where to get sunchokes, these were actually just sunchokes I bought at the farmer's market. I just threw in a grow bag. Now, usually we end in the front where I show you my garlic, but I kind of harvested it already. So let's go take a look at the yield over there under my calamansi tree. So this is the garlic yield for the year. I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed in myself. The main reason is that, again, same mistake as last year. I didn't have it on irrigation, but that's what's the major project of the summer this year is irrigation across my garden. I have a couple of decent sized heads, but nothing to write home about, to be honest. Most of them are around this size, so I didn't get any like truly gigantic heads, but they're in the shade here on a very breathable table so they could cure properly, and I'll still definitely be eating this for the next 6 months or so. That's it for this tour, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.